We've got a really phenomenal lineup for you. So please join me now in welcoming our first reader, Anissa Ibrahim.
Woo. Hi, everybody. I've never read off my laptop before, but I want you to see my cute cat sticker that I'm really happy about. So thank you so much to Leah, Gwen, and Adam, and the wonderful people in the supportive front rows who make this whole thing just like an amazing experience, and I'm so happy to be a part of this community. I'm going to read a pretty short piece that is kind of old, and I'm kind of resurrecting it a little bit. It was published in American Short Fiction in, I don't know, like 2017 or something, and it's brief, so I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to pass it along. Anyways, thanks for listening. It's called Ray Charles Never Lost Anything Important. Hugo was a neighborhood debate. Ask me, and I'd say, no, he wasn't gifted from birth. Wasn't like Mozart composing with a finger up his nose and diaper on his butt. But mine was a minority opinion. To this day, people come to me and insist, with a passion I've only seen in late-night infomercials, that Hugo must have at least been born with the capacity to prophesize, the genetic musculature, so to speak. To which I say, lower your voice. Okay, I agree. Listen, there are times in life when we know we've rubbed shoulders with greatness. So call him a sage, a soothsayer, prognosticator, guru. Honestly, who cares? We were all Catholic around our grandmas, but stayed devoted to Hugo's fortunes 24/7. Our next-door neighbor, Luis, was the neighborhood's only true skeptic. He complained that Hugo's predictions were either stupidly specific or ridiculously general. You'll be late for 3 things today, and early for a 4th. Take care not to miss the forest as you stare between the trees. Whatever, they always came true. Hugo drifted from street to street like he ruled the turf between Cesar Chavez and the 5, like it wasn't gerrymandered every 5 minutes by White Fence, Breed Street, Evergreen, Tiny Dukes, and Mob Crew 13. Who knew if he was homeless? He looked younger than our parents, kept his hair short, and seemed to shower on the regular. That's all the info we needed. Most days he posted up at Hollenbeck Park, 1 block west and spitting distance from our house on Chicago. A railroad hospital across the street had been abandoned in '91. When the film crews weren't swarming, my big brother Javi, Luis, and I would shortcut over the chain link fence, unless of course it was nighttime, which I don't have to tell you is when the ghosts came around. Then we would drag our asses down in around 6th. For years, we'd see Hugo at least once a week. He'd sit cross-legged on the grass, reading about the science behind tarot, which he loved to debunk, or reclined against a hill slope, looking out over Hollenbeck's Onblong Lake, the tall fountain that shot from its belly, dumb teens that hand-fed ballsy geese at its shore. It was July the day Javi got fired from his first job. He was 15, trying to help Nana pay the bills, and saving a few pennies on the dollar for the secret someday of college. Hugo lay bare-chested, tattoos so sun-washed his ribs looked bruised from a distance. As soon as he saw us coming, he brimmed a hand over his unibrow and watched us take seats on the grass. "What's good, kiddos?" he said. "Well, not your skin, Javi. Oi, that's looked better." Javi had been doing line prep at some downtown restaurant where he'd chop, weigh, and wash these exotic vegetables with names he claimed not to know, some purple, some phallic, some that were probably fruit. Because of the butter and oils, his forehead caught the sun like a watch face and, at random, broke into miserable constellations, which I'd named things like Celibacy Major and Pizza Minor. He once asked if I thought he should wear some kind of mask at work, and then gave me the silent treatment when I said, or you could wear a bag over your head. I thought of my brother as someone who could take a punch. But when I or Luis or any of our other friends or uncles or our Nana or her coworkers or the sisters next door punched at Javi, gave him a hard time, we really did think we were punching up. We were all so certain that that's how he saw it too. Javi rubbed his forehead. Luis turned to watch the small skate park on the far side of the lake, and without looking back, I listened to the wheels that slid over concrete like chalk on blackboard. I could hear when joint lines in the ground jerked the sound into a gallop. No, 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 don't. Stop touching your face, said Hugo. Rub toothpaste into your pores when you get home. Look, see, never a blemish. Javi said, good for you. From his Jansport, Luis grabbed and opened a Pop-Tart box that we'd picked clean of everything but cinnamons, which we hated more than hunger. Hugo accepted the box from Luis, gently, using both hands. I love these. How'd you know? Huh, maybe I'm psychic too, said Luis. Javi shoved Luis with his forearm. Mine was the first hand Hugo took into his. As usual, we both shut our eyes. I focused on the blades of grass poking through my pants. The wind sent me a whiff of Hugo's woody cedar smell. Okay, I think I see. You, baby, are going to walk past a small sum of money just minutes before its owner reclaims it. Cool, I said, trying not to seem underwhelmed. He took Luis's hand next. Hugo didn't bother closing his eyes. Things came to him in an instant. Luis, you'll find something, at home, I believe, that you didn't even know you'd lost. Luis sucked his lips and stared back. Then Hugo unwrapped a Pop-Tart and bit off a bready corner, and Luis whispered to me, how am I supposed to know if that shit comes true or not? Before I could tell him to shut up, Hugo cleared his throat and took Javi's hand, stared at it, flipped it over, flipped it back, and pressed the palm to his heart. Having a harder time with you. Let's see. No, let me start again. Someday, when you're lying on your deathbed, Javier, you will be visited by the man you might have been. Javi opened his eyes and then made it clear when he opened them wider that he had deciphered what Hugo had just said. As soon as Luis lost it, I lost it. I usually kept it together around Hugo, but this time I was gasping silent laughs into the grass, and Luis was clutching his stomach in genuine pain. Who do you think it's gonna be, Javi? Mahatma Gandhi? Wait, maybe the Pope. How about Babe Ruth? Muhammad fucking Ali? Nah, Bill Clinton. Javi kept a stone face through all of it, but for months after, whenever he'd do something dumb or clumsy, like drop his toothbrush in the toilet or lose his house keys, Luis and I would say, Neil Armstrong took better care of his hygiene, or, Ray Charles never lost anything important. Thank you. Please welcome Alyssa Konermann.
It's much quieter in here than it normally is walking up for announcements. Thank you to everyone who's here who at the end of the conference still presumably crawled their way out here to listen to us. Thank you to the staff. You guys are just absolutely amazing. Last summer I was like, there's nothing luckier than being with this group, and then there are two people here who weren't here last summer, and then everyone I've gotten to know more, and now I'm like, there's nothing luckier than being with this group, and it is such a privilege to be able to return to you all every summer. Thank you, faculty, for your readings, craft talks, everyone else who's here. And a very specific, thank you, Gwen and Adam. Y'all are amazing. Thanks for hiring me. First ever video conversation that I ever had back in the old days of 2019 was this interview. And a very specific thank you to Leah as well as Sakina for being two people who have been such lights to me and really the only reason I am still anywhere near writing in spaces where people love to gatekeep. Thank you for always encouraging and opening doors. Love y'all. All right. I do not have the good sense to read something that I wrote a long time ago, and I'm in a space where everything that I have, I'm either tired of reading and things that are in process, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to deal with that right now. So I started this on Tuesday. We'll see how it goes. In all of the sincerity that was just here, don't worry, that's like my weekly quota, and there won't be any of that in what I'm going to read. All right. It's a series of emails. In the actual thing, there are dates and times, but that's really weird to continually read out loud, so I'm just going to give you the distance from the last email you are hearing. All right. Thursday, March 16th, 8:42 a.m. Dear staff, I am so pleased to be moving into the position of General Manager of the Kids Zone. That's kids with a Z. Matters. I'll be announcing a few changes in the upcoming days and weeks, so please keep an eye on your inboxes. These new policies were created to improve both the employee and customer experience, and two, it is my hope and my belief, prevent another incident from occurring. As a last note, I thank Ross in advance for continuing to lean into his role of assistant manager and for making the selection of a general manager such an engaging, competitive process. Please let me know if you have any questions or ideas. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 47 minutes later. Dear staff, some of the side conversations that have been forwarded on to me, please remember that the Kids Zone motto, where unfriendliness is a foul ball, extends to our internal emails too. Yours in the zone, Nicole. The next morning. Dear staff, please review and commit to memory the following additions to our lost and found guidelines. 1. Immediately dispose of all perishable items. If you are unsure whether something is perishable, ask someone. Place items in bins according to the week they are found. Dispose of items after 4 weeks unclaimed. Carefully check the lost item for any identifying information, such as a name or phone number. Take a photo of each lost item when you place it in the lost and found and send it in the all staff lost and found email chain, should another staff member have been contacted by the item's owner. I think all of the lost and found during announcements is like deep in my subconscious at this point. The new rules are effective immediately, and I thank you all in advance for your support in making the Kids Zone a better place for all. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 6 hours later. Dear staff, a handwritten sign that says Nicole's Dignity does not qualify as a lost item and need a photographic distribution to the staff. For starters, doing so blatantly disregards Rule 3, carefully check the lost item for any identifying information. However, I'm pleased to report that a cell phone, an ice skate, and shin guards have all been successfully reunited with their owners in the first day of this new protocol. I'll sign off with a reminder to keep it kind and professional, especially if you're in a leadership position such as assistant manager, and we can all recognize your handwriting. Yours in the zone, Nicole. The next morning. Dear staff, I am thrilled to inform you that we officially have a reopening date for the ice rink. Repairs to the support beams and rink enclosures have passed inspections with the building and fire departments. New ice has been laid, leveled, and tested, and the league has reinstated us. Please remember that all maintenance of the rink is, for a minimum of 1 year, to be contracted out, and employees of the Kids Zone are not, under any circumstances, to participate in that work. We will have someone come at close each day and on premises for the duration of all games and competitions. To an incident-free future, Nicole. 2 days later. Dear staff, as discussed in yesterday's team meeting, please find attached the rules for employee conduct. While I'm fully aware of the environment in which you were all hired and trained, that is, under Justin's utter contempt for these rules or limitations on his whims of any kind, I will remind you that A, he is no longer manager here, B, he is no longer permitted within 500 feet of the premises here, and C, the employment contracts you signed do obligate you to follow these guidelines. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 12 minutes later. Dear staff, a reminder that forwarding any internal communications to terminated employees violates both company policy and the legal settlement we are all, by the terms of our continued employment, party to. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 14 minutes later. Ross, as per my last email, the settlement expressly prohibits any communication with Justin regarding company business and clearly states that any individual violating terms of the settlement will be held solely liable for any consequential losses, debts, or grievances. You're on thin ice, just like Justin was with the Zamboni, Let's not end it the same way. Your boss, Nicole. 0 minutes later. Ross, before you hit forward on that email to your buddies on staff, you should know the research I did on you during our face-off for general manager, you've only seen a glimpse of it. And I imagine I'm not the only one here who would hate to have my reputation destroyed among colleagues. All my best, Nicole. The next morning. Dear staff, wishing a happy, happy birthday to Nathan. We're so glad to have you on our team, and I am so grateful for all of the hard work you contribute every day. Please, everyone, join in Party Room 2 at 3:30 p.m. for cake, ice cream, and a celebration with our Kids Zone family before AAU basketball and gymnastics practices begin at 4. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 4:30 p.m. Dear staff, ice cream is, quite clearly, perishable and as such has no place in the lost and found. Yours in the zone, Nicole. The next morning, dear staff, please be advised that additional security cameras will be installed in the lost and found area, and the employee conduct guidelines attached have been updated to specify intentional misuse of the lost and found is a fireable offense under the section regarding health, safety, and cleanliness in the workplace. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 2 minutes later. Ross, as you'll recall from assistant manager training, or I hope you can recall, you went through it so long before I did, the only rooms of the complex without security cameras are the locker rooms, for obvious reasons of privacy. What you wouldn't know, because it's only part of the general manager training, is that as a safety protocol, the hinges are designed to allow keyed access to all lockers. I think you know where you'll find all those extra pints of ice cream emptied into the lost and found. I even added some sprinkles. Great new sneakers, by the way. I can tell why you want to keep them in there while you work. Warmest regards, Nicole. 1 week later. Dear staff, I am so pleased to announce the promotion of our very own Abigail to Senior Associate Manager. In just the 6 months that Abigail has been a part of the Kids Zone family, she has shown immense dedication, work ethic, and the kind of can-do, friendly spirit this place is all about. I am delighted to bring her up in the ranks from Floor Associate to Senior Associate Manager, and I look forward to watching her soar in this new role. Please join me in a hearty congratulations, Abigail. Yours in the zone, Nicole. 1 hour later. Dear Ross, wow, that's so interesting, really. Tell me more. I'm the manager. I can create a new title if I choose to create a new title when I see it merited, Nicole. 4 hours later. Dear staff, a reminder that not only should identifiable property be returned to the owner directly, but that, and this should not have to be stated, no known personal items should be removed from their owner and placed in the lost and found. To those who helped search high and low for Abigail's inhaler, thank you. 24 minutes later. Dear staff, the backup set of keys has been found. Please note that the lost and found refers to the entire area, and hiding items behind bins is not somehow separate from the policy. Yours in the zone, Nicole. The next week. Dear staff, a big thank you to Marcus for stepping up to fill the vacated role of Senior Associate Manager. I'm so looking forward to his tenure, which I hope and assume will last longer than 2 shifts. Yours in the zone, Nicole. That night, 3:13 a.m. Dear staff, I just received a call from the fire department informing me that multiple alarms went off simultaneously at 2:08 a.m. They have completed their inspection of the premises and see no sign of fire nor any evidence of noxious gas. The alarms that went off were in all 4 facility locker rooms. I reviewed the security footage. There is nothing visible, but I've sent the files to the authorities for analysis of tampering. While there was no fire damage, the sprinklers were activated for nearly 30 minutes. We will be closed to the public tomorrow, but please arrive at your normal start time and plan to help with cleanup. Nicole, 16 minutes later. Don't think for a second I don't know this was you, Ross. You're not getting away with it. The following evening. To whom it may concern, the Kids Zone is closed until further notice while the owners work to overhaul management and operations. While we do not in any way represent the employees of the Kids Zone, as the attorney representing the company and its owners in all legal matters, we advise you to not delete or alter any emails or text messages pertaining to this, nor any previous incidents in the workplace, nor communications of any kind with Ross, Nicole, or Justin, as these communications fall within the scope of discovery for a pending lawsuit. At this time, no one on this email is of interest in the suit, and we appreciate your continued cooperation. Sincerely, Stuart J. Ellis, Attorney at Law. That same evening. Dear Justin, I hope your time since departing the Kids Zone has been restorative, and that Kelly has come around to understand you were just in the thick of it when you put all of her credit cards in the lost and found, lit up printouts of the text messages and emails you found between her and Ethan on the ice before you zambonied her phone, computer, and grandmother's wedding ring. Who among us hasn't felt that sort of response to betrayal? In any case, I've decided it's time for me to find my next step. Wondering if you might have time to grab coffee and talk potential openings at Sports City. Your friend, Nicole. And I'm very, very happy to welcome Briana Wheeler up to the stage.
everyone. Hello, everyone. First order of business, thank you, Adam, Leah, and Gwen, for being the best. This last year and a half with you has been amazing. To the staff, I love you all. It is so wonderful to be held by so many people at once. Elena Passarello, thank you for working on this essay with me. It's much better now. And to anyone who went out of their way to hear me today, this one's for you. It's an essay. I've always made silly little lists in times of stress, but since COVID, I've found myself creating various taxonomies with my friends and sorting the people we know into them. I couldn't even begin to count the hours we've spent doing this intensively. The best taxonomies are ones that have distinct yet expansive categories. Variations of the basic levels afford nuance and provide more grounds for discussion. Using astrology as an example, we have the 12 sun signs. If you add even just the moon and rising signs, suddenly you're looking at 1,720 combinations. The fruits of conversation seem endless, and this is the game we play, over and over and over again. Our habit recently culminated in what my friend Hayden and I affectionately refer to as the It Girl discourse. It started with a TikTok, as many contemporary ideas do, in which someone had edited together segments of famous songs about women. Jesse's Girl, Ophelia, Hey There Delilah, Valerie, etc. As the clips played, photos of a friend who matched the creator's interpretation of each song's aesthetic flashed by. The video came across my For You page during the workday, which I immediately shared with Hayden. Later, while sitting in my room on a quickly darkening February afternoon, I asked her whether she'd had the chance to view it. The scene is ageless. Me reclined in the ugly mint green chair I got for free, and Hayden lounged across my dark blue comforter. Two early 20-somethings suffering from winter-induced ennui and living in a tiny town with nothing to do. I heard the clip begin to play from her phone. The glow from the screen lit up her features, very much in thought. When the video began to loop after it ended, I eagerly asked, okay, so which of our friends match with each song? The mental vice grip this activity put our brains into was immediate. To start, we watched the video several times to make sure we got their full list, then adjusted it. Removed a couple of songs we didn't like, added some icons we couldn't believe were left out. Then we started to sort our friend group, and that's when the debates began. If Lucy was Rosemary, then she couldn't be Ophelia or Brandy, which means Sarah can't be Rosemary. Okay, yes, Hayden, you can be Ophelia, but then seriously, who the hell is Sarah? Definitely not Roxanne. Is that Grace? No, yes, I agree. Allie is Heather and Sykes is Delilah. Except they both present great cases for Olivia, and if I'm being completely honest, also Rosemary. We were flopping, for a couple of reasons. For one, as we hashed it out, we realized we were operating under different perceptions of the women in the songs, which had literally not crossed our minds as a possibility, although of course that's the case. Our initial encounters with these songs, our memories associated with them were varied, so it stands to reason our mental compositions of the women in the song would also vary. But when you've subconsciously constructed a frame of reference for something over many years, it's easy to forget that everyone else has been doing the same thing, just differently. Take Dexy's Midnight Runner's Eileen. I'd always imagined her as a shy girl type, being coaxed onto the floor by a suave speaker, but Hayden pictured a savvy party girl, flirting with the edge of the fray to taunt the speaker. Like here, we often found that our narrative arcs of the songs matched, but there were these slight, significant distinctions in character, in Eileen's case, a degree of knowingness, that we needed to synthesize for our taxonomy to be effective. So we took a step back to align our definitions. The task was much more involved than we could have realized, and it took us an inordinate amount of time to get them just right. It was at this point that Morgan, our newest roommate, arrived at the door. It was to be her first full night in the house after moving her belongings over throughout the week. She began to blend her kitchenware with ours as we caught her up on our current task. And so it was the three of us, designing our system as nightfall enveloped our home. We made a Spotify playlist of the songs, found the perfect cover photo, and looped it in the background while I recorded our progress in my notes app. We had to start big. Who are the women in these songs? More often than not, the songs reveal more about the speaker than the women themselves. The longing, the jealousy. Rick Springfield's Jesse's Girl doesn't even have a name. She is an exchangeable stand-in for the speaker's desires. So then what metrics does one use? How do we determine aesthetic as well as personality? The lyrics? The vibe of the music? The type of people typically associated with the song? The era in which it was released? The music video? We delved into it all. Dolly Parton's Jolene seemed easy, so we started there. We all know her. Red hair, green eyes, gleaming white skin, beautiful. A deceptive, cunning man-stealer. But it turns out she wasn't easy. Country singer Cam wrote a song, Diane, from Jolene's perspective, The song is not sad or slow. The chords are upbeat and circle in the ear, mirroring Dolly's. In Cam's version, Jolene's pain comes not from her actions, but from the realization that her actions hurt another woman due to a man's deception. For our purposes, none of us are married or have conducted affairs with married men. However, with Cam's depiction in mind, we all feel the closeness of hurting another woman by mistake. So Jolene stayed on the list, and we defined her as sympathetic homewrecker. Others were more difficult from the onset. Conan Gray's Heather was tough. The obstacle to, rather than the object of the speaker's affection, she's elusive yet painfully present. Eventually we settled on Perfect Older Sister in a rom-com, which captures the young speaker's simultaneous rage and admiration toward her. Sometimes seemingly vague definitions were able to encapsulate everything we were feeling. After much circling, we found the plain white tea's Delilah to be satisfactorily described as, she's giving 1,000 miles away. The hardest to define, surprisingly, Fountain of Wayne's Stacy's mom. In my mind, one of the easiest to picture, we couldn't agree on to what degree she was complicit in flirting versus to what degree the speaker was embellishing their interactions. I'm still not sure we fully settled this one. With the speaker being a teenager, it raises a lot of questions. A trope often played up for fun and giggles, what would it mean to say she's feeding into the attention and then to call another woman a Stacy's mom? At once hot and destructive, capable and predatory, full of prowess and weak, we ended up with hot mom, effortless. After some 2 hours of back and forth, we had our definitions. Then we had to address our second challenge. Our one-to-one ratio sorting method was not working. We couldn't get everyone to fit neatly. There was too much runoff, too much overlap between personalities. We were never happy with how the list played out, how constrictive and compromised it seemed. Each of us were vying for multiple positions because we functioned differently depending on the atmosphere of the current moment. Sykes has Delilah energy, but also Olivia energy and Rosemary and Brandy and so on. We are multifaceted ladies. So we reframed the list. Rather than sorting one friend per song, we listed our friends and wrote down every song that applied to them beside their name. So rather than Hayden reigning as the one and only Ophelia of our group, she is Ophelia, as well as Rosemary, Jesse's girl, Delilah, Eileen, Rhiannon, and Brandy. And Morgan is Heather, Stacy's mom, Roxanne, Jolene, Ophelia, and Brandy, so on and so forth, late into the night. By the time we completed our objective, we were exhausted and dreading our morning work alarms. Even so, our activity had scratched an itch deep in our brains that sent us to sleep satisfied. It's probably not the best habit to derive immense pleasure from sorting people again and again into random-ass categories I think of while in the shower or scrolling through social media. But in times like these, when all we're searching for is a little comfort, new insights into the people we surround ourselves with, I don't feel bad. I can't feel bad. But the It Girl taxonomy didn't dissipate into the realm of, oh yeah, remember that conversation we had once? Where the rest resided, waiting to be pulled out at parties. It stuck to me. I couldn't stop thinking about how absolutely feral we went trying to figure it out. I kept circling back to the women. A large portion of pop culture cringe begins with the misogynistic drive to hate what teenage girls love. Pumpkin spice lattes, boy bands, Uggs, the mall, diaries, endless. Because of this, women, especially young girls, often form this desperate desire to separate ourselves from the masses. Enter the rise of the pick-me girls, the I'm not like other girls. We've all been through a phase like this in some capacity, right? This is a safe space, we can admit it. Although, if we've grown out of it, it's our instinct to deny it, because the ultimate way to stand out is to maintain that you've never tried to. Ugh, we simply can't win. We are all utterly alike in our desire to be unalike. And here lies the revelation of the It Girl discourse. In one way, it emphasizes that we are exactly like every other woman we've ever met. Millions of women find each of these absolute bangers resonant and familiar. Some of us spend our days dreaming for a better life, some depart a room like a raven, some instruct our kids' friends on how to properly mow the lawn. And as my roommates and I quickly realized, we are all some combination thereof. It also highlights how we all super know what it feels like to be in proximity to a woman who makes us feel a certain way. Just like the speakers of the songs, our assignments revealed just as much about us as our friends. At one point, I was really arguing why someone we went to school with was a Rhiannon, and when grilled about why, I claimed something to the effect of, you know, she just leaves the room, and you want to follow her into the night, learn all of her secrets. Hayden smirked, not in the mood to let me get away with anything, and said, "Nah, girl, she makes you feel that way." And that was the moment I realized that I had a crush on her. This taxonomy, more than the others, made me consciously realize why our instinct to order is crucial to society's understanding of itself. Yes, labeling others is extremely dangerous when used to delimit someone or restrict them to a box outlined by stereotypes and assumptions. And in playing with taxonomies, even lighthearted ones, the ultimate offense would be to sort someone without leaving them the grace to shift. People evolve and change, and our understanding of them evolves and changes. We must give each other the space to become more complicated over time. The balance comes from honoring both the instinct to order and the truth that people will continue to defy it. But at their simplest, taxonomies function as a sort of shorthand, a quick method for categorizing people that those familiar with the designations can translate. In this way, taxonomies function as a code. And the more creative you are with your codes, the more intimacy you can breed with the people who understand the language you're using. When I tell my roommates I've met a Jesse's girl, which we've succinctly defined as skater, alt, rocker, 90s girl, they instantly understand the impression that individual conveys in a room. Whether they'd agree with me is another matter. So perhaps it's more accurate to say that when I tell my roommates I've met a Jesse's girl, what I'm really signaling is that I met someone who makes me feel like I'm with Jesse's girl, which seems to be the important bit. The back end of this process always leads me to the same question. Less so about how I define myself or others, and more about how others would define me for themselves. What little piece of myself presents as the reigning impression when they think of me? To whom am I Brandy versus to whom am I Delilah? Am I Rhiannon to anyone? And what makes the difference to them exactly? Invariably, I discover that this drive to sort others stems from the obsession to define myself. Thank you.